Announcing the commencement of the first purge.
I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich. You get out there, you use your weapons, and you rip Washington apart. You hunt down the billionaires, the bank bosses, the CEOs, the scumbags, and the liars, the governors, the lobbyists, the senators, because they're all the same, and you hang them.
Just remember all the good the purge does.
Good morning, everyone. It's May 15th. Many of you know I'm no fan of politics or politicians, in particular the left-right paradigm. But I have to admit that the leftist ideology is a far more toxic and destructive ideology than that of conservatives. That said, watch with me this video of Dr. Nadia, her campaign, our commercial. Check it out.
Is there a female doctor in the house? There's one in this house, but 0 female doctors in this house. Meet Dr. Nadia Hashimi, pediatrician, author, mother of 4.
I'm running for Congress to bring my expertise on healthcare to a place that has 0 female doctors. I'll protect Planned Parenthood, combat opioid addiction, ban assault weapons, and fight for affordable healthcare and prescription drugs. I approve this message because Congress has too many multimillionaires and politicians mansplaining healthcare.
Is there a female doctor?
Alright, so you heard her. You heard what she said. I'm going to start with the last thing. Opiate addiction. Not opioid, opiate. Fucking idiots. Alright, so opiate addiction. A lot of these people would like to blame pharmaceutical companies for people getting addicted to opiates. I'd like to point out that, number one, hydrocodone or codeine is 100 times less active than morphine. Very hard to get addicted to it. You have to take it for a very, very long time, like I did, in order to grow dependence on this medication. And the same goes for morphine, even though it's much more strong. Now, you have a drug called fentanyl. Alright? Fentanyl is mixed with heroin to make the heroin stronger. Because fentanyl is, I believe, 400 times stronger than heroin. I believe that's the number, but I'm not 100% on that. It is stronger by leaps and bounds. To intentionally get that person so addicted that they end up overdosing. Now, there's been a recent article regarding how the DEA, or was it the FDA? This is one of the two, gave licenses to write prescriptions to drug dealers. I have nothing against drug dealers. They provide a service to adults. I do have a problem with them selling to kids. But if you're a person selling drugs to adults and they come to you, it's a mutual transaction by 2 consenting adults. Unlike the state where you are forced to pay for the health care of other people, their welfare benefits, and so on. But this opiate crisis, they like to call it, mostly consist of heroin addicts. And look, I'm not diminishing their life value here. But if a person chooses to do one thing or the other, whether it be smoke cigarettes or shoot heroin into their arms. They made that decision themselves. And they should be accountable for their own well-being. We should not be accountable for it. People who've been seriously hurt should not be held responsible for the actions of the addicts out there overdosing because they are abusing an effective medication. I don't know if you know who Dr. Wallet is, but there's only 2 drugs that do what they're supposed to do. 2. One of them is the antibiotic drugs. The other is the painkillers. They are the only 2 drugs that do what they're supposed to do. Again, I'm not anti-drug in any way. I think you have the right to do what you wish with your body. It's when you infringe on the body and rights of others, including the child inside of you. Which brings me to her support for Planned Parenthood. Anyone who supports the death knell of Planned Parenthood, I would seriously question their moral compass. Whenever it's acceptable to pull a living organism, in this case a baby, from the womb of its mother, after they've had a chance to develop, this is called, what is that? It's called the abortion, the kind of abortion, postpartum, or, oh man, partial birth. That's what it is. Partial birth. Partial birth is when the baby is big enough and it's alive, and it is killed as it's being pulled from the mother's womb. I hate to call them mothers because they're not. Mansplaining. Men like to explain shit to women because men think with the more logical region of the brain, and women think with the more emotional portion of their brain. As a result, we have 2 different views on things like healthcare. Man tries to explain that it is not up to me or you to pay for the healthcare of other people. It is up to them to do what they need to do. Now, this comes from a person who is denied healthcare. I don't get any kind of healthcare benefits, and I am glad I don't. The reason being is because, again, the medical system kills 250,000 people a year through what they call medical mistakes. I don't think they are mistakes at all. It's a very sleazy industry. They prey on really the mental illness of people. People will believe anything they're told by their doctor. And if you're not well informed, you will fall for all of the traps. So mansplaining, you know, it's just because men think more logically and women think more emotionally. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what makes women so valuable in a family. The man will try to run the household according to logic and reason, and the woman will provide the emotional support for the children. The 2 are necessary together. So, but I am not at all promoting the conservative brand of politics. Each of these wings of the same bird ultimately want this very same thing, and that is control over you. I mean, when you hear a leftist talk, you might think, God damn, these people are crazy. But here's the thing. They don't really want what they're talking about. They are asking for the most radical thing so that the people will compromise somewhere in the middle. It's a classical psychological tactic. When you want a favor from somebody, you ask them for a really big favor, and then you ask for something somewhere in the middle, and they're more likely to give you the thing in the middle as a result of you asking them for that bigger thing. So, and both sides use this tactic, alright? This is nothing new. It's a psychological trick, and they use it on each other, and to try to get the people on the left into the conservative basket, and to get the people in the conservative basket into the liberal basket. You have people switching ideologies constantly, all the time, because they're at conflict inside as to who is right and who is wrong. They think they only have these two choices. They think that these are the only two choices you have. And as a result, they're conflicted between the two. But you have another choice. You do. You have another choice, and that choice is freedom. And I'm not talking about this bullshit people spout about mental freedom. I am talking about actual physical freedom to do with your life and your body what you wish. That is my ideology. And I completely and totally disagree with anything that wants to hinder human freedom, human potential. And I think war against the powers that be is necessary. It's necessary. And the reason I say this is because we're talking about people who are essentially a bunch of serial killers. Now, if you were to be in the company of Jeffrey Dahmer and he did his thing, do you suppose that love and kindness and voting him out or replacing him with another serial killer is going to yield any kind of result? You can't save yourself from Jeffrey Dahmer by fucking him. You have to kill Jeffrey Dahmer to save yourself from him. This is obvious. And the same goes for the psychopaths who run this society and the world, really. They are serial killers. You cannot use words protesting love, kindness, respect, political mechanisms that they created to defeat them. I mean, have you ever wondered why the Bible tells you to submit? Have you ever wondered why that thou shalt not murder was changed to thou shalt not kill? I mean, that commandment is absurd on its face. And the reason it's absurd is because we have to kill animals to eat. We have to kill other humans to defend ourselves. Do you really believe a God handed down a commandment that said that you can't defend yourself by killing another person? Do you think God would actually want you, a person created in His image? Or, as they said, let us go down and create man in our image. So, I don't think a creator would want that at all. I think a creator would want us to fight with every goddamn fiber in our bodies against any such thing. So, and we should be. We should be at war with the ruling class. And hopefully, we'll get to that point. Because again, you cannot save yourself from a serial killer or killers with love, kindness, respect. Those things should only be reserved to those who extend them to you. If they're not extended to you, you should not be extending these things to others, like the politicians, like Donald Trump, like Barack Obama, like Hillary Clinton, George Bush, all of the Bushes. So, you can keep voting for these serial killers, but that makes you just as guilty as they are. Because when you vote, you are giving your consent for them to not only rule over you, but to make decisions in your name. Decisions like murdering women and children. We send people to foreign lands and we murder the women and children there and hail those who murder these women and children as heroes. And then, of course, we have this standing army that is the law enforcement community of this country, who people also hail as heroes when they are nothing more than a bunch of serial killers. Something I find very odd about the Parkland shooting is we're talking about a bunch of people that have absolutely no problem killing other people, killing innocent people who are unarmed on their knees, but the second an armed individual presents themselves, they cower behind their cars. Not all of them are like that, but they're all authoritarian. They all work for the powers that be. They all enforce the laws, the dictates handed down to you to obey from your fucking slave masters. Now look, think about slavery from the, colonial era. If the slave didn't do what the master said, they would be beat. There would be punishment. Well, if you don't do what your master says, you will be punished. And most often, in the most fucked up ways you can think of. I wouldn't say that makes you a slave. I would say that the fact your property can be seized from you anytime the government chooses, because it's not your property, it is their property, you are a slave. And until you recognize that you're a slave and you're controlled and ruled over by a bunch of Jeffrey Dahmers, you're going to suffer at the hands of those Jeffrey Dahmers. And so will your children. Again, the military, the police have no problem killing women and children. That should tell you something. That should tell you they are not the good guys. Hope you all have a good day. Kill the state before the state kills you.